What's up, and welcome in to Under the Hood with me, Jonathan Hood. Make sure that you like, share, and subscribe everything we do on YouTube and also on our podcast as well, whether it's Apple, whether it's Spotify. We appreciate your support for Under the Hood with Jonathan Hood. This is the show I've been looking forward to because my crazy cousin Wiley is going to be in, and he is a diehard Chicago sports fan. You think I'm opinionated? Wait until Wiley gets on the show coming up in a matter of moments right here on Under the Hood with Jonathan Hood. But yeah, we're here to talk about what happened on the lakefront on Monday Night Football. The whole world saw the Chicago Bears lose to the Minnesota Vikings by a score of 27-24. Our podcast is brought to you by Ankin Law, 3126 million for the great Howard Ankin. Injury law made personal. Put that number in your phone. You never know when you need to be able to have someone like Howard Ankin to come to your aid for you, your family, people that you know. Howard Ankin, that's the name that you trust. Injury law made personal. That is Howard Ankin. Sign my ball. Yeah, I can't believe it. I mean, we watched it and it happened. The Chicago Bears, they lose to the Minnesota Vikings by the score of 27-24. And just a few things that still are a head scratcher for me 24 hours later about what happened. It's just, I saw two games out there. I thought that the Bears played well enough to win in the first half because of the inspiration. It's the first game of the season. The crowd's behind them at Soldier Field. And the defense played with their hair on fire against J.J. McCarthy. The Bears in the first half stopped the run. The passing game was non existent. The Bears got a pick six defensively. They were able to get sacks, and they were able to do so many things against J.J. McCarthy and the Minnesota Vikings. And then the second half happened, and then that was all for the Chicago Bears. 21 points in the fourth quarter for the Vikings. And the Bears lose 27-24. Everything that happened in the first half where Caleb Williams going 10 for 10. And yes, he did check it down, but he was making completions, and there was a rhythm about that offense. We watched the first quarter and said, you know what? Finally, the Bears get on the board early, and they stormed down the field against the Vikings defense. A Vikings defense that wasn't necessarily really aggressive early, but they turned up the blitz in the fourth quarter when the game was on the line, and the Vikings win the football game. From what we saw in the first half to what we saw in the second half are just two different things. Caleb Williams all of a sudden got tight. The offense got tight. And Caleb Williams is not a finished product yet. As much as I think the average Bears fan would love to know if Caleb Williams is ready to go or not, I just think that what we saw in the second half is some of the things we saw last year. But the thing that you cannot ignore is the elite pass to DJ Moore over the middle, the elite pass to Roma Dunze, connecting to Olamide Zaccheaus, the great throw and catch from Cole Kmet. There's so many things that was good, but then it comes down to execution. It's 4 quarters. It's not 1 quarter, it's not 2 quarters, it's 4 quarters. And the Vikings, give them credit, they were able to adjust. J.J. McCarthy played well enough for the Chicago Bears to lose that ball game. He went 13 for 20, good for 143 yards and 2 touchdowns. He ran one in for himself. Aaron Jones got one. Justin Jefferson got a touchdown as well. And the defense that was geeked, that played well, went backwards in the second half. I understand that the Bears had some guys out. I mean, Jalen Johnson is a top secondary player, top defensive player in the NFL. He was not out there. Kyler Gordon was not out there. But at the same time, the line, and give them credit, they were able to get after it. Noah Sewell had a great game. I thought that Edmonds had a good game. Dexter was all over the field. But the thing that hurt the Bears was not 4th down and 2 or 4th down and 3. That's not what hurt the Bears. It hurt that they were not able to execute and be able to get the ball in the end zone. It was a play call by Ben Johnson, which I had no problem with at all because Caleb Williams has to execute that play. And there's going to be a lot of pressure on the offensive defense to execute plays. There's no more hand-holding with the Chicago Bears. They've got to execute, and Caleb did not in that instance. But that's not the reason why the Bears lost the game. The Bears lost the game because of coaching decisions by Ben Johnson and his staff. I'm just confused about what they want to do on special teams. They're late in the game. Did you not want to squib kick it? Did you think that the kicker will be able to get it to the end zone? I'm not sure what happened there, but there were some decisions that I did not like. On top of that, the really poor execution and discipline from this Bears team by having 12 penalties, pre-snap penalties in the first game. We saw this all throughout camp and all throughout the preseason, and here we go. Game one, this stuff is supposed to be different, and it was not. That was a problem, a major problem with the pre-snap penalties. So from there, a defense that was gassed, an offense that stalled, special teams sucked. That's the punter and the kicker, by the way. Both were not very good at all. Coaching. Otherwise, Mrs. Lincoln, how was the play? It was just fine. But it really was disappointing in front of 60,000 people at Soldier Field wanting the Bears to be able to get off to a great start, trying to get it done for Ben Johnson. And Ben Johnson is culpable, just like the players are, for losing that game. How's that get better against Detroit? Well, we're going to find out. But I looked at that game and I said, man, what a great opportunity for the Bears, even though they have some injuries, for them to be able to get after the rookie quarterback in J.J. McCarthy. And that second half, the defense just caved. They gave up big plays, enough for them to win. And then from the Bears standpoint, they just could not score enough. I mean, you're up 10-6, and if that was the final, that would have been awesome. But 21 in the fourth did end the Bears, and it's very disappointing. And I know a lot of people want to point fingers at this and that and that. Everybody gets blamed. I was on the Kap J-Hood Morning Show. You can catch me weekday mornings at 6 a.m. from 6 to 9 on ESPN 1000 and on the ESPN Chicago app. I hope you have downloaded the ESPN Chicago app. We had calls in the first hour blaming Ryan Poles for the loss yesterday. The personnel is the personnel. There's nothing that can be done about it now. Blaming Ryan Poles does nothing to help the Bears or think that the Bears are going to be better because Ryan Poles was fired after game one. That's not the conversation. The conversation is, how can the Bears and Ben Johnson get on the same page? We hear about all this stuff about accountability from Ben Johnson. We hear all this stuff about how accountability is paramount for this football team. Well, what I would tell you is that the quarterback and the head coach got to be on the same page. I would tell you that the team has to be able to, first of all, get healthy, but two, be able to execute. A lot of yelling and a lot of accountability talk in training camp. That has to be on the field now, because otherwise it's just a bunch of guys just talking about how good they are. If you don't get it done, it's just talk. It's just talk. So for all the stuff that we heard about the Chicago Bears and, how everything is coming together and accountability and everyone's got their back, I said this before and I'll say it again. When you go through adversity, what's going to happen to the football team? And this team will go through adversity. This is just a loss. This is not adversity. They just lost the game against Minnesota on Monday night. But when they go through adversity, how will Ben Johnson be able to steer the ship? How will Dennis Allen, the defensive coordinator, and the other coaches, and a lot of really good tenured coaches in Lake Forest, but how will they be able to handle this? That's the thing. So I'm not panicking about the first game, but I will just say that there was a winnable game at home. You lost again at home, and you let go of the rope. And I think that's really difficult to swallow. That is for sure, when you had an opportunity to win. And give Minnesota credit. I think Minnesota will be in the playoffs this year, one of the top teams in the NFC North, even with the rookie J.J. McCarthy, because they have so many weapons and their lines are solid. Offense and defensive lines are solid. So I give them credit for hanging in there and not giving up. But they looked lost, the Vikings, in the first half. And then good teams find a way to come back to win the football game. And that's exactly what the Vikings did on Monday night. All right, let me bring in my cousin Wiley. And don't forget, we are brought to you by Ink and Law on Under the Hood with Jonathan Hood, a fine sponsor of the Under the Hood show. And, of course, Kap J-Hood weekday mornings 6 to 9 on ESPN 1000. Injury Law Made Personals, 312-6-million. We always see his smiling face around the studio at ESPN Chicago and also at UIC. He's a legend on the campus of University of Illinois, Chicago. So Ink and Law, 312-6-million. That's the phone number. All right, we're going to hear from my crazy cousin Wiley because I know he's going to be firing about this loss against the Minnesota Vikings, 27-24. Please like, share, and subscribe. What we do on Under the Hood. And we are back. There he is. That's us, and now that's us. Yes, Cousin Wiley is back. And if you see Cousin Wiley, if you hear him on the podcast, if you see him on YouTube, you know it's bear season. And he joins us here on Under the Hood with Jonathan Hood, is J-Hood and Cousin Wiley for another season. What's up, Cuzzo?
Just depressed, Guzzo. Depressed.
Wow, that's when you've lost Cousin Wiley, you've lost. You lost it, Bears. When you have Cousin Wiley supporting you, that's not good. 27-24, the Vikings defeat the Bears. I want to get your thoughts, man. I mean, we watched it, and I described it on ESPN Chicago and on the podcast already that it just felt like two games. I felt like in the first half, the Bears had everything going for them with defense and the offensive play calling and the execution. In the second half, it just wasn't there. What'd you see?
I saw a team that couldn't generate any offense. I saw a team that when there was, just being honest, there were errors by the officials. They couldn't overcome a few errors by the officials, and I saw a defense that couldn't stop the run, and because they couldn't stop the run, they gave a struggling quarterback hope, and he took advantage of it. And I saw a quarterback who looked the same as he did last year. He looked like he didn't know what he was seeing. I'm not sure if it was because of his dyslexia or whatever else, but he looked a little confused out there. And I saw a first-time head coach making first-time head coach mistakes. So it was, and then the injuries on defense didn't help either, but it was a recipe for collapse. And, it was unfortunate because it really all started from, our kicker with the big leg, Santos.
Yes.
He missed what should be a gimme now in the NFL, a 50-yard field goal with no wind, and that gave the Vikings hope. And from that point on, they put their foot on the Bears' neck, and that was it. It was rough. It was rough to watch.
You're not giving credence to that bullshit story that the young man can't read, and you about
You
Caleb
know,
Williams.
I mean, as he's a black man, so I expect the blacks not to be able to read and be a little
Uh-huh.
arrogant and unqualified. So I think the story was fairly accurate.
Okay, so you believe so that's what you read. Based on what you read from Tyler Dunn, he came across talking about Kevin Warren and Ryan Poles and Caleb Williams. You felt that he wrote that pretty much all three were arrogant and not qualified to be in this
Yeah,
position and
and
their
and
position.
entitled as well, like uppity, just the uppity Negroes. Uppity
Mm-hmm.
Negroes. Did you hear Ryan Poles walk past one of his coworkers and he didn't say good morning? How dare him? How dare him walk past a coworker and not speak? Who does that? Who does that? Other than an
I've
uppity.
had I've had that happen in my career many times. So like, but I'm still here. I didn't think I never took offense. You just keep it moving. I read the piece like you did. I give no credence to it because Tyler Dunn has done this with two other organizations, just looking for the
Yeah,
dirt, looking for the rumor and innuendo, and like the timing couldn't have been worse for the Tyler Dunn piece. The idea that you're gonna try to knock down the organization and go after Kevin Warren and Ryan Poles and Caleb Williams. The only thing that matters to me is like how the Bears get better, how to get better from a
yeah,
5-win season. Now, I just want to point out to our viewers and listeners that the Seth Wickersham book on quarterbacks will be coming out, I believe, next week. You remember, because this past spring, a lot of this talk about Caleb Williams and whether or not he can get the job done or not, or whether or not he wanted to be a Bear, or whether his camp wanted him to be a Bear, that's all part of the book that's coming out. It was a story in May, the excerpts, and now that book's coming out. So there'll be more on this on Caleb Williams. No matter what's written or what's said, because the team has to play better, and Caleb's got to play better.
Yeah, I mean, some of the criticism comes with being the number one pick. So you take the good with the bad. And if he plays better, yeah, there'll still be some of that still out there, but for the most part, fans will embrace him. And I think so thus far, we're looking for a kid to get some confidence in what he's seeing on the field. And Ben Johnson is supposed to help with that. And there were many times yesterday where he looked completely lost. And when he looked lost, his accuracy, just went downhill. So I've joked around and say, like, you need to tell Caleb, hey, Caleb, every drive, there's 2 minutes on the clock. We're down 3 points. We need a touchdown to win the game. He seems to perform best in 2-minute situations. He seems to perform best when they're doing hurry up offense because there's less thinking involved. But you can't have a game full of plays that either hurry up or you're running your 2-minute stuff. Like, that doesn't work. So he has to figure out what he's seeing. And part of that comes with putting in the work. And somewhat that comes from Ben diagramming plays to give him easy passes. We saw last night O'Connell creates, plays for McCarthy to just get layups. And then they had a running game. They had an effective running game in the fourth quarter. The Bears' running game was Caleb scrambling. At some point, Swift has to perform better than just a couple nice runs. I think it was the second quarter, third quarter. But he has to, get 3-4 yards to carry instead of that one in a pile of dust, and then now you're forced to pass the ball.
Cuzzo, this is the worst. This is the weakest I've seen from the running back room in a while. And this is no shot at DeAndre Swift. I mean, he's fine, and he gave you the tough yardage yesterday. But here's the disconnect. You mentioned Caleb Williams, 6 carries, good 58 yards, and hats off to him, man. He showed his wheels. He's faster than I thought he was, actually. He was out there, and he was scrambling. He got a touchdown. But here's the thing. After that, there was no Manung guy. He never got a carry yesterday. It was DeAndre Swift and DJ Moore 3 for 8. Like, I've never seen the running game look this light. I'll just use that term then, because usually there's 2 or 3 guys that you can depend on, and that's got to get better. I mean, the hallmark of the Ben Johnson offense is to be able to run the football. They got to find guys that can do that.
They do, because the highlight of your running attack can't be your quarterback sashaying down the field for 20+ yards. It can't be.
Would you like Tyler Dunn's number? I'll send that to you, because it seems like you. Let me look up his number. I'll text it to you while you give your analysis. Go ahead, sir.
You have to. I felt like Manung guy should have gotten an opportunity to carry the ball. Like, I saw the kid in college, and one of the things he did well was fall forward. Like he was going to get you an extra yard, and that extra yard that I don't think Swift has the ability to get. So I don't know. Maybe next game include him in the game plan and give him at least a few carries. So yeah, I think that will work.
Sent. Took care of it for you.
Got it.
So you guys can be able to collaborate on the sashaying of Caleb Williams. I think that on the positive side, Cuzzo, I thought, okay, so Caleb Williams utilized his legs well. It's awesome. A lot of quarterbacks utilize their legs to be able to get a first down. He had the tough yardage. He was able to get first downs and a touchdown. That's great. I like that we saw 10 for 10 from Caleb Williams. A lot of it was checkdowns, but they still count because that first drive was excellent. When's the last time you saw the Bears come out and play that well offensively to be able to score a touchdown? We haven't seen 10 for 10 since 1978. That's a long time. So that's a record that was broken. The connection to Zacchaeus, and I really like him. While I think that he could really be something. I'm not saying like all world. I'm just saying, like, when Caleb Williams needs a friend, I think Zacchaeus could
Yes.
be right there for you. 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8, boom, first down. Roma Dunze, Cole Kmet with a great catch late. DJ Moore. I think that he was able to spread the wealth well, but again, in the second half, it was just different. We talk about pretend like it's 2 minutes left in the ball game. Well, let me just tell you, like 4th and 3, and Ben Johnson has the balls to say go for it, and Caleb couldn't connect. Dude, listen, this is if you look around the league, a lot of these young coaches are looking at analytics and go 3 yards. Oh, we can get 3 yards, and Caleb Williams could not get it. It was a test, and he failed the test. Yeah, I would have liked the field goal there myself as an old schooler, but I understand what Ben Johnson was trying to do because the idea for Ben Johnson, Wiley, is to push yourself out into the deep water. Shit ain't going to be always easy for you. You as a quarterback has to grow. You've got to be able to get those 3 yards for the touchdown for DJ Moore. Half the quarterbacks in the league would have been able to connect on 4th and 3, but Caleb did not. He failed. It's easy to say, kick the football. At this point, I can't even trust the noodle leg of Santos to be able to get the field goal in that spot. I have no idea. But I have no problem with a coach pushing a player because you saw how soft this team was last year. Someone has to be able to say, here you go. We're throwing a baby out there into the deep end. Now you got to swim. And in the second half, Caleb could not swim. That's the problem.
But you know what? I agree with you when it came to Caleb missing that gimme to Moore over the middle on 4th and 3. But then the next drive, they come down, they get in scoring position again. They're like 4th and 2 with like 40 seconds left in the first half. And Ben Johnson didn't have the balls to go for it then. He brought out Santos. He made the field goal, but making that field goal also gave the Vikings the opportunity to go down the field and make their own field goals. So it was basically offsetting field goals. So in a sense, he may have been better off trying to go for it there, but here's a guy who says he's going to be aggressive. And then when his quarterback fails the first time, he says, you know what? No mas. We're going to go with Santos and let him go out there and kick this chip shot in. But in this era of football, if your kicker can't be consistent from 50 yards out, your team is going to have a problem. Like, it's just the reality of it. Your team's going to have a problem. We're seeing kickers like kick 60-yard field goals effortlessly inside of, windy stadiums, open door stadiums. And we have one who, if it's less than 50, he's solid. If it's 50 plus, it's questionable. Like that is our father's football. Like in that era of football. Yeah. Well, 50 plus, no, we're not going to do that. This era of football, you got to make those. And that, like his missing of the field goal, in my mind, turned the whole game around. It changed the whole outcome of the game. Make a field goal.
Harold and Bob would have knocked the TV over watching that game yesterday. The Magnavox TV, they would have knocked it over. Absolutely. Looking at that loss.
Yeah.
that was just absolutely brutal. Just one other note about the running game. So because at some point we got to see Monungai. For him not to have a carry yesterday, I thought was strange. I thought it was strange, and this is going to be a talking point for us, you and I, all season long. Is only one football, and there's a whole bunch of guys that want the football. And I know there was some bitching this morning about Colston Loveland only getting two targets, 2 receptions, good for 12 yards. Dude, it's just, you got Moore, you got Zacchaeus, you got Dunze, Kmet, Loveland, Swift, Burton. All these guys are going to want the football, but it's only one football. And there's a lot of weapons, but you got to get them the ball. Minnesota, they had, 5-6 weapons, and they were able to do enough to beat the Bears. But that's, again, something that Ben Johnson's got to think about. Who's going to have the lion's share? Who can be able to carry this team? It's great to have a whole bunch of different options, but you got to narrow it down to who's going to be able to make key plays.
I agree. And yesterday, it looked like Swift was the safety valve who was going to get the most touches. But you have to bring a Dunze in, give him a couple of those. Moore seemed to, be playing with like some enthusiasm yesterday. He wasn't moping around, so like reward him with with some gimmies. And then you work your way from there and start feeding everyone else. But you can't allow your top two guys, to not get 7, 8 targets a game. They should be getting 7, 8 targets a game, and then you feed everyone else from that point on. But I think Ben Johnson has to go back to the drawing board and figure out what's going to be the best way to help Caleb see things, and then also what's going to be the best way to get this offense going. And if that can't happen at some point, you have to, figure out some other options, because you can't have the talent level the Bears have and then only be able to score, 17 points on offense, and then you get the pick six by the defense. You can't have that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, yeah, right with the pick six, and that was right on time. You really needed that, and that really shook McCarthy and the Vikings to the point where you thought maybe the Bears could just hold on. I thought that at times they played not to lose instead of trying to win, and so I think our conversation has to be, and we'll start here with Ben Johnson regarding his letter grade for him as a coach. I think it was average to below average, and he mentions himself that he made some mistakes. Wiley, it's hard to say this, but it's true. When people talked about Ben Johnson at the podium and talk about how he answers questions directly, you know what people are saying? Thank God he's not Matt Eberflus. And that's not a reason to support a coach. I really believe that. I just think that because Ben is direct, he'll be curt at times and, whatever, right? I have no problem with his demeanor. But when people say, look how eloquent he speaks and, how he answers questions, all that, it's because Matt had a hard time being able to deal with the media, him and Hahn. We had him on the radio show. He was bad at it. But ultimately, this whole praise for Ben Johnson stops for me until we see results. Because you and I, over the years, have seen the offensive genius come in here supposed to change the fortunes of the team. And I'll tell you what, this offensive genius has got a hell of a lot to work with. But how can he get this thing going? It's just one game, but if it keeps going in this direction, then Ben Johnson is going to be kind of like a lot of these coaches, struggling to find an identity for the team.
I agree. And one of the things that we all praised Ben Johnson about was his ability to take a quarterback who's struggling and help him find success. Mm-hmm. And I felt like yesterday he took a quarterback who was struggling and it was like static. Nothing changed really from what we saw last year. And to me, that was really unfortunate because we saw Ben Johnson have success in Detroit against Flores. And yesterday, Flores had his number. After that first two drives, Flores had his number. So there has to be some soul searching with Ben Johnson. Maybe you're delegating too much. Maybe you need to grab the wheel a little bit more when it comes to game planning, whatever that means. But against the Lions, the Bears can't afford to go 0-2. They can't. So they have to find a way to go in Detroit and treat the Lions like the Lions of yesterday. They have to.
Yeah. Well, what if they don't? And because here's the thing. It's Ford Field, and actually lately with the Bears, it doesn't matter where they play. There's been a lot of underachievement. You're at home. You're trying to break that losing streak at home, and you lost against the Vikings on Monday Night Football in embarrassing fashion when you are up, what was it, up 11 points going into the fourth quarter, something like that, and you still lose. So, Cuzzo, you're in Ford Field. You're Ben Johnson. You're going back to where you used to work at Ford Field against the Lions. And I think the Lions will probably be less than this year, but still strong at home. And the Lions are embarrassed that they lost against the Green Bay Packers. That's not an easy test for the Bears to go in there on the road after that loss against the Vikings on Monday.
It's not. I think you have obviously a veteran quarterback, a more talented offense than what Minnesota has. So your defense is going to have to rise to the occasion. Players are going to have to get healthy. Jalen Johnson's going to have to get off the trainer's table. We're going to have to see Kyler Gordon come out there. And then we're going to have to see some of the rookie and the young linebackers not run out of steam at the end of the game. They looked really good early on, but by the third quarter, fourth quarter, they ran out of steam. So you're going to need some better rotational guys. And then Ben has to score. You have to score more than 17 points on offense. You have to.
Yeah.
Like you can't expect to win many games in the NFL without a great defense. And the Bears don't have one with all the injuries right now. Without scoring points on offense, 17 points is unacceptable. Period. With the Bears' talent level, like if this was Mitch Trubisky's first year, where the guy, his top receiver was out of the NFL the next year, then yeah, okay, we don't have the talent. But we have the talent from young to old across the board, except running back. There should be more offense. There should be more offense than 17 points at home, against a shit Vikings team because of the quarterback. The rookie quarterback the young quarterback was starting his first game. We have to be better than that going forward. And that, to me, comes down to Ben Johnson more so than even Caleb. Because if Caleb isn't the guy, you have a veteran on your bench. You can, knock the cobwebs off of him, and you can bring in, the fan favorite, Tyson Bagent, whatever that is. But there can't be excuses for why the offense is struggling, for half the season at all. It can't be, because at that point, I want to blame the coach, because you have the power to make change. You have the power to make it easier on your quarterback and your offense. And if you're not doing that, then, you're the wrong guy for the job.
Ah, yes. Quarterback controversy. We've been through that before, haven't we? Look at those people on the screen right there. So let me ask you. So you have a Mitch jersey, do you not?
I have all of the jerseys. Yes.
Yes, you have a Fields jersey and you have a Caleb jersey. Now,
Yes.
do you have a Bagent in the closet?
I do. I do. I have a Tyson Bagent jersey.
I don't know if have I seen that? Maybe I've seen that. I think you might
Yeah,
have
when
that.
he started like those 4 games like
right.
a few years ago. Yeah, I got it then. I'm a collector of quarterback jerseys.
I understand. You're ridiculous.
I know.
You always think it's the one. You always think.
I don't want to buy any more. Like I don't want to buy any more jerseys. So I would love for Caleb to just be the guy who his potential says he should be. That's all I want. Just be that guy. Be that guy. Like, what's tough? Watching the Jets and the Steelers play the game. And before I go into that, let me give a shout out. Shout out to Dale. Shout out to Dale. Dale came by the house on Saturday. Family comes to the house. There's always whiskey being poured, and but
yes,
the guy's he's a wealth of knowledge, and he always has his, we can't be loud in our family because women run everything, but he sits back in the corner, and just puts his hand on the steel here and there, But yeah, he just really solid dude. So shout out to Dale. But back to the Steelers in Pittsburgh game.
Shout out to Dell. Shout out to family. But
yeah, shout out to
yes.
But seeing Justin Fields look like he took a step as a passer, it just kind of it hurt a little bit. It hurt. I didn't want to see that. It was like who was this guy making these NFL throws? It hurt. And then you go to Monday and you see Fields and you're like, hey, that guy was wide open. It was a layup. How did you miss that? So, yeah, it was a rough weekend, Hood. It was a rough weekend.
What? Okay, Wiley. Here's what you saw from Justin Fields. It's not like we never saw that type of play from him before. We've seen him be able to throw the football, run with the football, rally the team. But you also, what was familiar? The loss after the game. The loss. You've seen the production, but you also seen him lose tight games. Like a lot of that's on the Jets defense. Let's just say that, because he scored enough points and the Jets scored enough points to win the ball game. But I mean, usually you think you can win that game, but he lost that game. And I'm here to tell you that might be the best of Justin Fields we'll see this year.
It may, but I saw, at least for one game, I saw a quarterback who was consistently making the right throws. He wasn't panicking in the pocket. he was calm. And even like his last pass, instead of him running, he saw Wilson get open and he stopped on a dime and threw a perfect pass to Wilson, and Wilson, dropped it because he got blew up. But like that wasn't the guy we saw in Chicago. That wasn't even really the guy we saw in Pittsburgh last year. So seeing him take a step as a passer, like I was happy for the kid. Like I'm not gonna be a Fields hater, because he did nothing to me. And if he's not here, I have no reason not to want him to do well as long as he's not playing against the Bears. But yeah, like that was tough to see. It's like, hey, can we get whoever worked with you in the summer? Can you tell him to call Caleb and give Caleb some pointers so maybe he can make some of those layups, and not just the highlight reel passes. Those are nice too, but I just want like the layups because those were you're going to see those about 95% of the time. Layups are going to be required, and if you can't make the layups, then the highlight reel passes really mean nothing at all.
Justin Fields also uppity.
Yes,
he's also uppity as well. Just like
yes,
that.
Yes.
I'm sure there'll be something written about him at some point.
Yes. Breaking news.
That Justin Fields is uppity. Yes.
Yes.
So I'm sure that'll be written about him at some point. I did not ask you, and you did not text me. I don't know why, but you did not tell me your 1-loss record officially for the Bears for this season. I said on the radio that it's 8-9 because I think that the Bears are trying to ramp up to something special year 2, year 3, because they didn't finish up what they need to do in the offseason. Even though I'm impressed with the offense and the defense that they put on the field, as far as name recognition, they still need more. So what was your 1-loss record for the Bears this year?
So when I saw the schedule, what was that, back in like April? Saw the schedule back in April. I was like, it's a 7-win season. That's where I started it. And then from April until the end of August, I had took a couple sips of my whiskey and I got to 12 wins. Yeah. From 7 to 12 wins, Yes. So
did you call an Uber? Did you call an Uber after that? I mean, I think that's a lot of drinking. Hopefully you call an Uber to be safe.
Yes. But yeah, I mean, I'm a meatball. So yeah, there was no way I couldn't get there. But yeah, I got to 12 wins, and 7 probably looks better than 12, but I'm gonna stick with the 12. I did get to 12, so I'm gonna stick with 12.
12. Okay.
12.
I don't know where you could find 12 wins on this roster, on this schedule. Not sure where you could find that, especially with this football team, the way it's. I mean, again, it's just game 1, but boy, they really have to get hot. I mean, you look at this schedule.
That was a win.
Go ahead.
I had that as a win.
That was supposed to be a win last night. Okay, now what?
Yeah. We'll find one. Maybe Philadelphia's had too much turkey on Thanksgiving. We'll find one.
Okay, but what about you see the schedule on the screen here if you're watching on YouTube?
I do.
Okay, well, I'm just looking for the wins, like Detroit and
here's
Cowboys,
what I had.
Raiders.
I had the Bears beating the Vikings, losing to the Lions. So now let's reverse that. Maybe the Bears will beat the Lions. They'll beat the Cowboys. They'll beat the Raiders. Maybe not, but let's say they'll beat the Raiders. I had them beating Washington, the Saints, losing to Baltimore, losing to Cincy, beating the Giants, beating the Vikings, beating the Steelers, losing to the Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Losing at Green Bay, beating the Browns, beating the Packers, losing to the 49ers, and then beating the Lions.
I see.
So, yeah. I mean, a kid can dream, right? A little bit.
Yeah. Every year you're dreaming of a Super Bowl championship. Every year you're doing this.
Okay. Here's the truth, though. If you do it enough, you'll be right eventually.
Maybe. Oh, yeah, absolutely. At some point, you are going to be right about the Chicago Bears. Right. Maybe in the new stadium. And by the way, are you going to the new stadium once it's built? Are you going to spend some time there? Do you have people in the area that you could go visit in Arlington Heights in that area?
Uh, possibly, possibly.
Oh, boy, what a shock. What a shock that you
Yeah.
know some people are on tonight that you could stay with. Yeah, maybe someone that it's someone special that you could just sidle up to on a chilly night and saying, "I'm going to the game." Oh, I can see that. Yeah, you're missing
You
out on
know,
the family party to spend time in Arlington Heights. I can already see it in your calendar. Just spending time. Oh, that'd be great. Sally, she's right there in the neighborhood. I'm sure that you'll stop by and see Sally. I'm sure. Cousin Wiley,
we'll see.
always out there.
We'll see. We'll see. I'm
Yeah.
not getting any younger though, so you may have to you know toss my hat in the ring and just you know
What?
you know.
Wait a minute. What do you mean? Is there some news that you need to share with the
Oh no.
family?
Oh no. No. No.
Okay, I think we got.
No.
I think we got breaking news here. I think that we're gonna have a
No.
celebration because by the time the Bears go to Arlington Heights, there's going to be a Mrs. Cousin Wiley, a celebration. Let's go.
We'll see. We'll see. That's a long time. So 6, 7 years away, anything can happen. Anything can happen.
They're trying. They're gonna be in the stadium in 31. So,
I
are you
know. I
saying that
know.
there's going to be a celebration at 31 that we all be knowing you, we won't know anything about it. I'm sure it'll be in some place remote, like the Fiji Islands, someplace, or at the end of the earth. You'll have a ceremony there, and then Hood, I'm married. I'm sure it'll be out of nowhere. It'll just come. I'm sure
Just show up with
we
the
won't
ring
know.
on.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah. I'm sure. Like, what's that ring for? Is that dirt? No,
Oh no.
I'm sure you.
Yeah. Yeah. Probably there will. It's unlikely there'll be a ceremony if that ever happens. Just I'm cheap hood. You know that. Like just walk down to
That's
City
not
Hall.
That's not true. I don't know why you telling that lie. You're certainly not cheap. I tell you that. You're like me, and a bougie Negro that likes high end stuff. That's what you are. That's what I am. So don't do
Oh,
that.
Tyler
All
Dunn just
right.
wrote another article.
Lastly, well, I'm sure I get it. You have the number. You can make sure that you chime in with your thoughts on black athletes to Tyler. I'm sure he'll be able to write that in his Substack. I will remove
Yes.
myself, and I need.
I can't hear you, Cuzzo, if you're talking.
I'm right here. I want you to tell Bears fans. You got me?
Yep.
Okay. I want you to tell Bears fans about the game against the Detroit Lions. What your expectations are. Tell people what you expect to see in Game 2.
All right. Game 2. Here's what's going to happen. We have Ben Johnson going back home, and he's been around the ankle biter for 4 or 5 years, so he knows what to expect. He's been around sweaty golf for 4 or 5 years, so he knows all of his weaknesses. He knows all the buttons to press. So I see the Bears going into Detroit, getting healthy against a Lions team who's trying to find a new identity. So I'm going to go Bears 30, Lions 20. Bears come back 1-1, ready to go against Eberflus and put together a winning streak. So Bears get healthy against the Lions, and we get the win we should have got yesterday. So Bears win.
How about that? 30 points on the
Yo,
road.
there you go.
Wow. Okay. That's Wiley's platform. I just want you to be able to tell Bears fans your expectations. And I tell you what, that happens. Now you take on the Cowboys at home. Kind of a coin flip that game.
Yeah,
And then Las Vegas is the last game into the bye.
yeah. So like the Raiders, I think the Raiders are good, and I mean they're easy to pick against because they've sucked or they've been mediocre for like the last decade. But I think the Raiders team is going to be really good this year. So uh, I know I picked the Bears to win that game early, but I don't know. Like if I'm being honest, gun in my head, it's probably a loss. It's probably a loss. I mean, I hope I'm wrong, but it's probably a loss. So hopefully we can go into the bye 3-1. We go into the bye 1-3 or worse. I'm gonna be on suicide watch, because I'm gonna be on suicide watch. So the number that Caleb had on his fingernails last night, I'm gonna need that. I'm gonna need that. I really am.
You're just full of
I'm gonna need
puns
it.
tonight, aren't you? You got just like that. Just yes, that was the paint color that Caleb went with to try to promote Suicide Watch. Yes, very good,
Yeah, it
very
was.
good as always, Wiley. Now people know where I get my comedy from. So that's just unbelievable. Okay, well, I got you down. We have your prediction. You have it down for the Bears winning the game against the Lions. So we're going to talk about this next week. We'll find a way to win a football game, hopefully. And of course, Under the Hood with Jonathan Hood is presented by our good friends over at Ankin Law. 312-6 million for the great Howard Ankin. Injury law made personal. That's Ankin Law. And put that number in your phone. You never know when you need an injury law. And again, 80 attorneys on staff for Howard Ankin and his fine staff. All right. Where's the dog? Is the pup upstairs? Is he
Yeah,
downstairs?
he got sent upstairs because he was pacing. I think he heard your voice and he saw, you know, how I positioned, I guess, my computer. So he was like, "Oh, I know what this means." So yeah, he was like, "I'm up, I'm up." Yeah.
Okay.
So he'll
Well, then,
he'll be
then the
back.
pup he'll be back on. Well, if the Bears win, he's more than welcome to be back on the
Yes,
podcast.
yes, yes.
For Crazy Cousin Wiley, this is J-Hood. Don't forget to check us out. Like, share, and subscribe what we do on YouTube as well as on podcasts as well for Under the Hood with Jonathan Hood. We'll talk to you next time. Hopefully the Bears will come out with a victory against the Detroit Lions as Ben Johnson goes back to his old stomping grounds at Ford Field. Thanks so much for checking out the show, Under the Hood with Jonathan Hood, presented by Ankin Law. So long, everybody.